and I want my damn respect too.
Get out of here, LeBron. Go back to LA. Don't come to New York with that Boo! 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 LeBron! LeBron! You never beat Jordan. You never beat Jordan, my Oh, Kobe! You bum. Oh, Kobe! You bum. Get out of here!
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. Fanboys. LeBron James fanboys. You are trash, and so is your king. I think when we look back on this LeBron James experiment, this LeBron James experience, a lot of people are going to be left scratching their heads, wondering how is it possible that a guy like this was ever held in such high ranking amongst the other greats of the game. I think a lot of people, when LeBron James finally retires and more stories come out, more stories like Mario Chalmers and Dwight Howard saying, hey, yeah, I called him the B word because he wasn't playing defense. And more people express themselves like, what's the guy? Craig Carton, who got on his platform and called LeBron James insufferable. And more of these things come out. People are going to be left wondering, how on earth was this guy ever ranked so high among the greats? How on earth did the media get people to accept this guy as a top 2 player, as a top 5 player, as a top 10 player? Because when you're talking about the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball, and that could, obviously MJ goes without saying. Obviously, we're talking about Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson and Kareem and Bird and Wilt and Russell and Jerry West and Oscar Robertson and Hakeem Olajuwon and Tim Duncan and any plethora of players that you can name that are held in high regard. I think one of the number one attributes that you can think of when it comes to these players is toughness. When you think about Michael Jordan and what he went through with the bad boy Pistons, pretty much flagrant fouling him and him just getting right back and going back to the hole. When you think of MJ at the age of 40, playing on one leg, but yet still playing all 82 games. When you think of Kobe Bryant and the various injuries that he played through, some injuries so severe that probably no one could have managed to stay on the court but Kobe, playing with a separated shoulder and Achilles injuries and all these things that Kobe Bryant just refused to leave the court on. When you talk about Larry Bird and his back injury and it being so bad and so excruciating that by the time Larry Bird retired from the NBA, he didn't have any regrets. As a matter of fact, in his book, he said it was a relief because that's how much pain he was in. Yet he was still trying to play. He in so much pain that when he wasn't in the game, he was lying down on the sidelines. So to me, and the list goes on, but to me, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the greatest. When we're talking about Isaiah Thomas playing on one leg and scoring a ridiculous amount of points. I think it was like 3 minutes or something, playing on one leg. So when we're talking about the greatest of the greatest, to me, what really comes to mind is toughness. Toughness is your ability to stick it out through adversity. And that manifests itself in so many different ways. Yeah, we're talking about in a physical way, like when it just comes to it playing through injuries and whatnot, but we're also talking about mentally. You know, we're talking about the mental toughness to overcome the criticisms, because every single superstar gets criticized. Every superstar before LeBron James has gotten criticized, but somehow LeBron James is supposed to be above it all. So their ability to deal with criticism, their ability to stay focused in the most important moments. So you got all these tough players playing through injuries, mentally tough, and then you got LeBron James bumping into DiVincenzo and lying and rolling around on the ground for 5 minutes like he just got hit with a 12-gauge blast. You got LeBron James flopping all over the place. You know, you got LeBron James lying on the ground, peeking from under his hand to see if the referee fell for his tricks. So when you talk about LeBron James and comparing him to the other greats, he should not be in the same conversation. There's no way LeBron James should be in the same conversation. LeBron James is the opposite of everything that the greatest players to ever play the game represents. And forget being the opposite of Michael Jordan, because he is the complete polar opposite of Michael Jordan. But LeBron James doesn't represent any of the things that the people who we call the greatest players to ever play the game represent. LeBron James is weak. LeBron James is a coward. He shies away from the moment. He passes the buck during the biggest moments. He fails big time during the biggest moments. Whether you're talking about 2007 or whether you're talking about against Orlando or Boston, and let's not even talk about 2011. But LeBron James is weak. He's a coward, and he doesn't represent the things that we expect the greatest players to ever play the game. And when you think about the greatest players to ever play the game, they became endeared to the fans because of that toughness. Because sports is about competition. And part of being a competitor is having toughness. Like, because at the end of the day, like, you can separate it out into the athleticism. Yes, the athleticism can give you an advantage. You can separate it out into the hard work. Yes, the hard work can give you an advantage. Your willingness to put in the hard work to learn the fundamentals and skills of the game can give you an advantage. But at the end of the day, without the toughness, none of that really matters. Because once you get two players who are equally matched, what's really going to separate them is the toughness, mentally and physically. It's the one who can deal with a little pain and keep going. It's the one who can deal with the mental fatigue that's happening during the game and keep going. It's the one that can deal with the pressure situations and keep going. This is what separates at the end of the day. LeBron James is none of those things. And again, we know this because of how people talk about LeBron James. I've said this many times. The things that people constantly say about somebody, they have some truth to it. If not some truth, a lot of truth to it. And so what do we hear about LeBron James? We hear about him staying in shape, people. This is a serious problem. The fact that this is what comes up most about someone who's supposed to be the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. The thing that is brought up most, more than anything, is him staying in shape. When we hear stories of Michael Jordan, we hear the stories of will. We hear the stories of someone with a will and someone who can impose their will on the game and on other players and on their teammates, who can just impose their will on the circumstances. When we talk about Kobe Bryant, same thing. When we talk about Larry Bird and the other greats, the same thing. This is what we expect from sports. This is what sports is about, is you being able to impose your will. And there is sacrifice that comes with that. And this is the thing. LeBron James wants his cake and eat it too. Just like a spoiled child, because that's what he is. That's what he was before getting into the NBA, and the NBA further enabled that behavior. So when you see LeBron James talking on this Game the Mind of Fanboys Everywhere podcast, this is what we're seeing. It's like he's on there trying to explain away every criticism that he has ever heard about himself. He's trying to explain it away when he doesn't understand that criticism goes away when you fix the things that you're being criticized for. This is what every single superstar in the history of the game has had to endure. Criticism goes away when you fix the things that you were being criticized for. It goes away. There's no explaining away criticism. When people talk about you and one of the things going around about you is that you're not clutch, and then you and your fanboys have to get on and try to explain why you are clutch, there's a reason why millions of people notice that you aren't clutch. There's a reason for that. It's not out of thin air. It's not because you missed one shot. It's not because you flamed out in one game. It's because there's a pattern of this happening over and over again, and people see it. So when you get on Game the Mind podcast, shout out to Man Down Sports, and you try to explain it away, there is no explaining it away. That's not how criticism works. When people say that you constantly make excuses, and then you try to explain it away, what you are doing is just making another excuse on top of excuses. People aren't saying that you make excuses because it happened one time, because you flaked out on the game one time and said you were injured. And okay, maybe people would have bought that. But again, this is a pattern that happens over and over and over and over again with LeBron James. This is what people notice about you. So there is no explaining it away. The only way to get rid of it is to stop doing it. And for the LeBron James fanboys, I get on here and I laugh at you guys a whole lot because it is amusing to me that a group of people who LeBron James probably wouldn't sign an autograph for you spend all your time watching videos that supposedly you don't like. This is what you tell me in the comments. You tell me in the comments you don't like my videos and I'm just a hater and blah blah blah. But yet you watch. It seems like you watch them just as much as people who love the content. But for you guys, I make fun of you guys. We all do. Trust me, we all do. You guys are hilarious. But it's really a shame. Because I'm going to tell you why. I've watched several reaction channel videos from younger kids, from the younger generation. And they watch the Jordan videos and you watch them go through a transformation over a few weeks and a few months from thinking LeBron James is the GOAT to being disgusted with LeBron James. And one thing about them, a lot of them, is they hadn't done the research on Michael Jordan, number one. But they hadn't even really done the research on LeBron James either. Not that they haven't watched any LeBron James games, but the problem is the mainstream media, because they are so good at constantly making excuses for LeBron James and only hyping up his highlights, that this is what a lot of the younger generation, this is what they stick to. This is what they get. And they actually forget about the horrendous failures that LeBron James has committed. And I'm not talking about failing like he just lost some games. I'm talking about failing like he didn't show up. Like he didn't do his job as a superstar. Because the media has gotten so good at highlighting the things that LeBron James does well while completely ignoring and making excuses for when he collapses. And there are too many collapses for him to like. Here we go. LeBron James is much more like a Scottie Pippen. I have said this before. LeBron James is like a Scottie Pippen who got hoisted into the position of the face of the league. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Scottie Pippen is as weak-minded as LeBron James, but they are very similar. And LeBron James, I dare say he doesn't even have the talent to be that guy, because what makes you that guy is consistency, is the ability to have consistency. And what gives you the ability to have consistency, it's the mental capacity, it's the mental toughness. So now that LeBron James has come out with this whole trying to diminish championships now, and now that he has a group of the ringless having his back, like Gilbert Arenas and Tracy McGrady, and these people coming to his defense, it's funny because the people coming to his defense are people very similar to what LeBron James actually is. And that is he's actually not a leader of a team. He's not a real leader. And I hate to say this because, you know, I used to be a person that likes Tracy McGrady. And I still think Tracy McGrady, obviously back in his day, he was highly skilled, highly entertaining to watch, and he had a lot of unfulfilled potential. But the fact of the matter is it didn't matter because Tracy McGrady mentally was not a Kobe Bryant. Tracy McGrady mentally was not a leader. Gilbert Arenas is not a leader. LeBron James is not a leader who got hoisted into a leadership position. LeBron James, all of those guys, LeBron James, Tracy McGrady, Gilbert Arenas, Scottie Pippen are all better off as as a number 2, as a second weapon. This would have been LeBron James' much better position if he had never been hoisted into a number 1 position and he could have played with somebody who was actually a number 1. LeBron James' position is much more of a Scottie Pippen. That's right. I'm saying this, fanboys. Get mad and call me a hater all you want because, you just wind up in the fanboy files or something. I hadn't done one of those in a long time. We enjoy laughing at you because the delusion and the psychology behind you needs to be studied. Like it's amazing. But yes, I'm saying this. LeBron James, the guy who they tried to promote as the GOAT, the guy who they promote as the default number 2, the guy who they say, oh, it's egregious. No, you're not a serious basketball fan if he's not in your top 5 or top 10. That guy is more like a Scottie Pippen, Tracy McGrady, Gilbert Arenas, the people who don't have rings, and guess what? They weren't going to have rings unless they were playing with a number 1. LeBron James got them because he went and played with people who were number 1s. Dwayne Wade is a number 1 option. Chris Bosh is a number 1 option. Kyrie is a number 1 option. Kevin Love, Anthony Davis. This is the only way LeBron James has any rings, and all of those rings are fraudulent. So yeah, when the curtain comes down, people, when all of this is over, I feel like people are going to be left scratching their heads like, this was an interesting experiment. The LeBron James experiment, the LeBron James experience, the so-called LeBron James era. Can you have an era when when all the kids want to play like a different player in your era? Can you say that you had an era when all the kids in your so-called era want to play like Steph Curry? Everybody wanted to be like Mike. People wanted to be like Kobe. Before Mike, people wanted to be like Larry and Magic. I wasn't around for the Wilt Chamberlain days, but I'm sure, people probably wish they had Wilt's athleticism. But with LeBron James, everybody wants to be like Steph. Anyway, we gonna hold up here, people. I was just thinking about this. This LeBron James thing. It has really been it's really been a shift in what sports is supposed to be. It shows you what happens out of desperation. One of the things I try to live by is never making decisions out of desperation. If I ever feel like, desperate about something, then I'm gonna rest on that decision. Like I'm gonna wait until I'm feeling more composed about it, and so that I can think clearly and make the best decision. But to me, LeBron James is a decision that the NBA made out of desperation, because they did not know what they would do, how they were going to handle it when Michael Jordan retired. So the NBA panicked, and the NBA tried to create circumstances to create the excitement of a Michael Jordan. But the problem is that could only be created by Michael Jordan. And the even bigger problem is that you're never going to create a Michael Jordan by making things easier. This is the route that the NBA took, is they said, hey, let's make it so that it's more offense and that it leans more towards offense. Let's take away the defense so that the players look more skilled. You know, again, it's just been a big light show. Like, let's try to manufacture a GOAT. You know, let's give him every advantage so that, I mean, the NBA gave LeBron James every advantage and he still couldn't get to 6 rings. Not only could he not get to 6 rings, but he managed to accumulate 6 finals losses in pursuit of getting to those rings. So, yeah, the NBA panicked and it went the complete wrong direction. The only way to create greatness is to create the obstacles. Young people watching my channel, if you don't remember anything, is, you know, don't avoid the obstacles. When it comes to pursuing whatever it is you want to do, first of all, don't chase greatness. Don't chase greatness. Just simply focus on being the best at what you do and don't avoid the obstacles. Matter of fact, embrace the obstacles. When things get hard, that's when you should dig in even more. Because if you don't, you can wind up like LeBron James with no respect and getting called out on the New York City streets by people calling you LeBum and saying that you never be Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Anyway, we gonna hold up here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think is going to happen when LeBron James finally retires? Do you think once LeBron James finally retires, people are going to start to awaken to the fact that they've been scammed? They've been scammed by the NBA. This was all a sham. This was all an experiment. You know, this was all a farce. This whole thing wasn't real. This whole thing was the NBA trying desperately to create another Michael Jordan, and they failed miserably. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.